Hey, I'm right back with another video. It's like 2:11 p.m. It is Monday afternoon. It is May 13th, and I just had some lunch leftovers, and I'm just kind of sitting back, unwinding, getting ready to watch a few black and white movies, that I haven't watched in a long time. So, I just kind of wanted to make this video because I had a lot of stuff going on in my head. As you know, I'm always thinking about this. And one thing I want to say is that I've always tried to be very respectful towards people, no matter what their background was or whatever. I've always just felt it was necessary and important to be polite. And I'm not trying to raise hell by bringing up this subject. But when, I've mentioned that I've been dealing with, workplace mobbing and shit, for a long time in my life. But I'm thinking now about, this particular issue, the Stephen Lyle's weird scandal, and I will call it a scandal. If this going back to 2008, okay, and also coming back here, I came here in 2009, I think. Yeah, I moved back here in October, no, August of 2009, somewhere around there. I came back here in Bakersfield in August. Okay, so this is now 2019. Okay, so you've had this particular family, following me around for a very long time, and I've been feeling the effects of it by the behavior of the people, having my goals wrecked, being harassed by employers, and or basically somebody trying to take away my rights, and just ridiculous, over the top bullshit for 10 years. Okay, and I'm still, right now, I feel like I'm just kind of dangling on to life right now because this is how far it has gone. And so my mood is just kind of like, it's seriously affected when you think about the time period that I've been going through this, okay, and wondering what is the world's going on. I have cut off all connection to people. Some of these people, I never really had much of a connection with the people on Facebook, other than coming on Facebook every once in a while to say hello or whatever. But as I've been saying in my videos, since my son really has been born, okay, I have been working, and working some more, back and forth, working home. So I don't have, a huge network of people. And so everybody, this is one of the tragedies of gang stalking, is that everybody that is either consumed with guilt, so they will not face you. Also, you've basically lost respect for them for putting you in a situation and not really considering your personal needs or whatever. It's such a, you start to see these people in such a manner that you lose respect for them, okay? So you are basically left on your own, okay? As I mentioned, my family knew about this. They didn't say anything about it. They may have been deceived because of Elsie lying about, her plan or whatever. I don't know how, but I do know that my sister knew who Elsie was, okay? I remember, I think it was when my father was ill, and she said that she saw I remember her mentioning she saw Stephen's mom, and I kept thinking, well, my sister must know Stephen's mom. I think because Stephen's mom was a nurse and had something to do with the hospital that my dad was in or whatever. But so my sister may have very well told Elsie where I worked, or something happened along those lines where Elsie got control of my employment. And this, to me, is just obviously a form of human trafficking. And it's, like I mentioned, it is illegal, okay? So this woman was given permission, even though nobody should have permission, okay? This whole operation is very frustrating to me and painful because it has literally destroyed my life. Anyway, she got permission and probably encouragement to basically destroy my life, along with her son, Stephen. And I believe Douglas Lyles is also in this. Now, the Douglas Lyles issue is coming up. That name just keeps coming up in my head, okay? The whole family basically just decided to ruin my life only because I had contacted Stephen Lyles back in 2008. My issue is this, okay? Obviously, I do believe that this is it seems racially charged in a way, okay? Based on the little stupid limitations that they're trying, and just the very fact that this woman thinks that she has some sort of power over me, or that she could just take my rights away. It is, to me, a very racially charged issue. And that right there, when somebody gets racial with me, that I will cut you off so quickly. So don't say something stupid that you might end up regretting, okay? Because I have dealt with racism all my life. And once I deal with it one time, I cut them off, okay? I don't have time for it. I really don't. So, and I really can't really cut these people off because they were never really a part of my life. Really, anyway, I didn't really know them. Like I said, I had a crush on Steven in high school. I didn't know that he was mentally challenged or disabled or whatever. Like I said, I personally think he's more crazy than he is like what they call mentally challenged or whatever. I don't know which one he is. I know that I've never seen him back in high school. Like I said, the school was set up where all the main school classes were in the main hallway. Okay, so if the special ed class was like way on the other side of school, okay? So, I mean, I always saw him going through regular classes, so I'm assuming that he is crazy, okay? Whatever the case is, you know, this is some sort of weird issue that his mom has or something. I don't, you know, obviously, you know, I just might watch Psycho again because that is just such an interesting topic. I think that there's a lot of similarities between Steven and that movie and his mom and whatever. But, okay, getting back on the subject, that this woman had some sort of authority, was given authority, quote unquote authority, to, you know, choose jobs for me. Based on some sort of rivalry, thinking that I was trying to get at her son. Trust me, I had no idea. I wasn't in communication with him or anything like that. But the point is that she felt as though she had some sort of entitlement, which is racism right there. Anyway, so I've been thinking a lot about that, and I do realize that this is a human trafficking issue. So I was, you know, around town. I was like, you know, just kind of running around town this weekend doing some light errands. And I had noticed a billboard, not a billboard, but like a sign, okay? And it was talking about Kern County human trafficking, okay? And so immediately I was like, okay, that's good, because I think it's important that people know how common human trafficking is, okay? And just because it's common doesn't make it a good thing, okay? The fact that it's common is a terrible thing, okay? Because I mentioned before, there's a lot of TIs, okay? And targeted individuals are victims of these programs, and it's becoming more and more common. Now, I mentioned a few days ago about some of the ways that people can get access to your personal information, how they could start the process of community harassment by social media, you know, Facebook, LinkedIn, how Adam Smith lost his job because he put a video of himself. People recognized him, and guess they started looking him up, and guess what? They find out this guy works where he works, whatever. So to teach him a lesson, they decided to take away his job and then throw him into this program to a certain degree, okay? I don't know how much harassment he gets, but still blacklisting him and making it difficult for him to actually survive is it's a part of the gang stalking, okay? Because obviously he's moved around a couple of times. But my point is that these things are making it very easy for human traffickers, gang stalkers, whatever, / gang stalkers, whatever you want to call it, to do these things, okay? But this is not what this particular article was talking about. This particular billboard or sign was talking about the human trafficking, and it was like Kern County's Coalition or whatever. I forgot what the name it was. I guess they have an organization or a chapter here that talks about human trafficking. I wish that they would talk about it more, you know. I wouldn't mind talking to this organization, but I don't think that they'd be interested in talking to me. I think the town is kind of ashamed and they want to sweep this issue under the rug as much as they possibly can, because it looks really bad on their, you know, from their if you look at it, really look at this, it looks like shit, really. But anyway, I can think, okay, I wonder what their website talks about. So I did look at it, and I did write down a couple of points here. I had mentioned some of this stuff before in my last human trafficking video that I did about maybe a year ago. But still, I still think that this is good information. And anyway, it's basically outlining what human trafficking is and what it isn't. And it is very common, okay? What human trafficking is and isn't. It says human trafficking is a business of stealing freedom for profit. In some cases, traffickers trick, defraud, or physically force victims in providing commercial sex. In others, victims are lied to, assaulted, threatened, or manipulated into working under inhumane, illegal, or otherwise unacceptable conditions. It is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies freedom to 24.9 million people around the world. Okay. Now, some people think, well, nobody's forcing you to have sex. No, but human trafficking is basically based on commercial sex or forced labor. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so it says force, fraud, or coercion. United States law defines human trafficking as the use of force, fraud, or coercion to compel a person into commercial sex acts or labor or services against his or her will. And in my case, or a lot of other targeted cases, they get placed into jobs that they didn't have a choice. Like you apply to jobs, you send out resumes, you contact employers, you do everything that most job seekers do to find a job, okay? But these people are already instructed to not do business with you, okay? Why? Because there's already a situation in place to where they're going to find your employer and they're going to set you up in this particular employer. And it's always something that is of no real value to you. Now, it's very, it's horrible because it goes against your will, okay? It's not really helping you out any. It's not increasing your, it's not giving you any sort of resume building help at all. Like, for example, if you've been doing this all this time and this is what your goal is, to stay and remain here, which is your right as an American citizen, I don't care what color you are, as long as you were born in the soil, you get your rights. If somebody is directing you into something that you didn't ask for and is of no value to you professionally, that is against your will. Okay, so how many people are trafficked in the United States every year? Okay, so this was written in 2007. In 2017, Polaris worked on 8,759 cases of human trafficking reported to the Polaris operated National Human Trafficking Hotline and Be Free text line. These cases involved 10,615 individual victims, nearly 5,000 potential traffickers, and 1,698 trafficking businesses. Okay, human trafficking is notoriously underreported. Shocking as these numbers are, they are likely only a tiny fraction of the actual problem. So yeah, a lot of businesses participate in this. Okay, like I had mentioned, some of the employment agencies that participate in it. Shockingly enough, we hear of equal opportunity employers participating in it. And I really, I don't want to cut people down, but I had mentioned several times about people not really knowing the inner working of their job. But I will say that, like, when we talk about these particular guidelines for these equal opportunity employers fall into, when you really look at this, they fall into what is necessary to avoid being a victim of human trafficking, because people use all these excuses. Well, the reason why I'm retaining her or I'm choosing her job is because this is my ex-husband, which is marital status. You can't throw that into your employment mix. Is because she's not of the right religion. You cannot use religion as a determining factor for employment. It's because something relating to her race. Whatever these things are that are based on discriminating issues, okay, are the key components that need to be identified to avoid becoming a targeted individual. Okay, so this is shocking. So a lot of people really aren't putting these things together, and if they are putting them together and they know that they're doing wrong, like I said, the only thing that you can think of is corruption, when that's what it is. Okay, so who are the traffickers? Perpetrators of human trafficking span all racial, ethnic, and gender demographics and are as diverse as survivors. Some use their privilege, wealth, and power as a means of control, while others experience the same socioeconomic oppression as their victims. They include individuals, business owners, members of gang or networks, parents or family members of victims, intimate partners, owners of farms or restaurants, and powerful corporate executives and government representatives. So a lot of times you see these people who are powerful, maybe a business owner that has, multiple locations, or maybe someone in the government, like I had mentioned, there was a mayor who knew about this, okay, but did nothing, and probably supported Elsie Lyles in her little endeavor to mess my life up, because she might have thought that she was well intentioned. Whether she was well intentioned or people believe that she was well intentioned or not, it's still illegal, and he should have known that. Okay, people need to understand the psychological effects of the victim of who goes through this program, and I think somebody who is supposed to practice employment law, okay, should know these things. Okay. Whatever the case is. But she may have thought, I don't know how she could have influenced so many people. I mean, maybe being white, and I'm not being racist by saying this, okay? Because like I said, don't ever try to call me a racist, because that's bullshit. I have a very, very huge understanding of humans in general. And I believe every person on the face of this earth has evil in them. Every single last one. From the whitest of white to the blackest of black, or vice versa, okay? Everybody does. Okay, I would just say that, for example, the evil that I experienced from my family, okay, but I will say each ethnic group might have a different way or certain things that make them evil, but still, nonetheless, I believe there's evil in every person. So don't try to throw the racism thing on me. I'm a victim of racism, okay? I'm not a racist. So, but still, how did Elsie have the ability to use this? Was it because she's a white woman and that automatically trumps what a black woman is going through, or what a black woman says, so therefore she has right over somebody in the minds of people who are somewhat prejudiced? Or did she say that she was a wealthy woman who has a lot of status, okay? Still, some people are impressed with that, and they think, wow, you're somebody, and I'm going to listen to you. I know, since I realized that Stephen was involved in my targeting, I did look at his Facebook page, and he did kind of put on the Facebook bullshit arrow type thing. So he could have very well, gave off this image like they were somebody, okay? They're nobodies, okay? She was a nurse, he's a bartender. I think everybody should take pride in whatever kind of work they do, but it's not something that's going to, that's not what you call somebody who's living high on the hog, okay? So anyway, but still, people use their prestige. Business owners will do it. Like, for example, Steve Murray thought he was okay to do this sort of stuff. They think they're above the law, okay? And sometimes they can do things in their own company, but when it affects the rights of another individual, that's where it becomes illegal. All right, so how do human traffickers control their victims? Okay, traffickers employ a variety of common tactics. The most common include physical and emotional abuse and threats, isolation from friends and family, and economic abuse. Okay, I have experienced all of that. They make promises aimed at addressing the needs of their target in order to impose control. As a result, victims become trapped in fear, leaving for myriads of reasons, including psychological trauma, shame, emotional attachment, or physical threats to themselves or their family. I feel as though I have been the emotional abuse, like, for example, being called into job interviews just to be messed with. That's an emotional abuse. And that could very well be, Elsie's way of trying to get back at me for writing to her son. Okay. And this whole thing. And then her ideas of how, why, and the lies that she's using in order to hold me back from my life. Because it's her way of getting revenge on me for something I never did. Okay. But still, whatever the case is, it's wrong. And they do use things like that. Like, they will, the threats, like, you do things my way, you convert to this religion, or it's a no-go. That's not the world doesn't revolve around what Elsie Lyle says. Okay, we live in the United States of America, and it's my right as an American citizen. Okay, actually, it's my birthright. Okay, from God Himself, but it's my American citizenship says I can be whatever religion I want. I can do whatever I want. Okay, I'm not sitting here, hurting anybody. I'm not doing anything, and I actually have a lot of what do you call it? High standards of living. I would say more so than a lot of the so-called fake Christians that got involved in this. But whatever the case is, you're not supposed to use any of those things, okay? And that goes against a lot of the laws relating to employment. Okay, so this was they're talking about the facts and myths and facts, okay? Is it always or usually a violent crime? By far, the most pervasive myth about human trafficking is that it is always or often involves kidnapping or otherwise physically forcing someone into a situation. In reality, most human traffickers use psychological means such as tricking, defrauding, manipulating, or threatening victims into providing commercial sex or exploitative labor. So they do. They use a lot of trickery and a lot of psychological means, like, for example, the isolation, they make sure that people that you used to know don't talk to you anymore. They do all these things. And then the rumor. They use the rumors, and that's psychological because people now are turning against a person, and they don't get the help and they're not getting access to the resources that they need, okay? So this is one of their tactics. Myth. All human trafficking involves commercial sex. Reality. Human trafficking is the use of force, fraud, or coercion to get another person to provide labor or commercial sex. Worldwide, experts believe there are more situations of labor trafficking than of sex trafficking. However, there is much wider awareness of sex trafficking in the United States than of labor trafficking. I would say labor trafficking is, I have never personally met any woman who, even some of the TIs that I've seen, none of the ones that I have ever watched were trafficked specifically for commercial sex. Most of the people who are in this program that I have seen on TV, whatever, or just some of the people that I suspect might be TIs here in town are mostly labor trafficked, okay? I have never met any sex trafficker, but labor trafficking is very, very common, okay? And, sometimes, there's nothing wrong with, referring somebody to a job, or that kind of thing. But when it is doing something where you feel as though you can do this to manipulate and control, or you're doing it because you don't like this person and you're doing something to hurt them, then that's a trafficking issue, okay? There should be no strings attached to anything. Some people believe that only undocumented foreign nationals get trafficked in the USA. That's not true. Human trafficking only happens illegal or underground industries. I'm not going to go into all of this, but it was very interesting. Here's one. It says, myth. People being trafficked are physically unable to leave their situations, locked in, held against their will. The reality is sometimes the case. More often, however, people in trafficking situations stay for reasons that are more complicated. Some lack the basic necessities to physically get out, such as transportation or a safe place to live. Some are afraid for their safety. Some have been so effectively manipulated that they do not identify at that point as being under the control of another person. In my situation, like, I have tried to better my situation, okay? But like I said, they convince other employers. Like, for example, they convinced Karen that this was right or that it was okay, and then Karen is a very powerful woman in the world of business. She owned her own business. She has contacts, I'm sure, all over the country, and they get these little things going, and it's very difficult for someone like me because I'm dealing with these rumors that are circulating around me, and then people are thinking that I'm, I don't know, breaking up relationships that even to me are weird, but whatever, still, which I'm not. They have these things going on around me, so I can't do that. And then I try to go to a job interview and these people are messing with you. It's just bullshit, So I'm in a situation where I can't do anything. And then I try, and I want to look for work. I do. But I'm always thinking, okay, what's going to happen now? And some people say, well, just get over it. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it's like to encounter these fucktards when you're looking for work and you've been going through this program for this long. Okay, I get tired of it. Okay, and it's not about, well, then you should comply to what Elsie says or what her request is. Fuck Elsie's request, okay? This woman is crazy, okay? I don't have time to play her fucking game. And I don't want to deal with people who are trying to play her game, okay? I think the whole thing is sick and twisted. And it's disturbing to me having to go to job interviews and deal with this bullshit. It is, okay? So it has become a very triggering thing with me. It has become a psychological issue that I'm trying to deal with just so that I can survive, okay? I find looking at jobs triggering. It is mentally triggering after doing this for so many years. For the last 4 years, it's been bullshit, 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 bullshit. And I don't know what to do. So I'm trying. It's not easy for me, okay? And so I'm putting in a lot of effort to try to find another job because I really, it's wrong for me to be stuck in a situation that is built on abuse, okay? Well, oftentimes, like, this kind of rolls into what I was going to talk about now, like the bait and switch type jobs. Like oftentimes they'll offer you jobs, right? And it's based on the kind of jobs that you really qualify for. But when you get there, they're basically saying no. Okay, so they'll tell you that it's a full-time job. They'll say that it's this particular position, and you get there and it's not. Okay, it's like a constant showing and display of somebody threatening my life on a daily basis. That's threatening my life. Okay, so why would you think I'd want to stick around and do that? Of course I want to better myself, but they make it very difficult too. Because like I said, here's the rumor campaign. Now how is it that Elsie doesn't have to deal with any sort of backlash for being the person that she is? She basically killed her husband, in my opinion. To me, she's somebody who is, you know, taking advantage of her children by not giving them these choices to make. I'm basically saying, when you impose yourself, if she's attacking me, much like the Norman Bates issue. Now, I don't know whether Stephen was interested in me or not, or she just saw me, that little letter that I wrote him in 2008, that little, I think it was like a paragraph or something, wrote to him in 2008, and then she snapped and said, I'm going to get her, because she was in a jealous rage because that's her man or something. Whatever, okay? But is anybody attacking her for throwing me into this program, for basically, you know, coercing and allowing other businesses to put their reputation's name in jeopardy because of what she did? Did she pay a social consequence? Why am I paying the social consequence for what I didn't do anything? You see what I'm saying? And I'm trying very hard to get my life back together, and I'm struggling. Okay. I don't even have, what it talks about, you know, the reasons why you don't leave. You know, my vehicle is not going to last forever, okay? Like I said, I wanted to move on. You know, I can stay in Bakersfield, that's fine. But why should I sit here and have to worry about what's going to happen to me on a daily basis? And I do. Because when you start dealing with all of this shit and you see this monstrous bullshit going on, okay? And you think, are things ever going to get better? So you don't know. You know what I mean? And you're in a situation right now where I can't help myself. I don't even have the financial resources to help myself. You know, so they screw you pretty bit good in these issues. That's why it's so fucking evil. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this up real quick and talk about recognizing the signs. I'll be back in another video.